guys, we're in Klamath Falls and we're gonna go check out Ninja MTB.
So we didn't just come to Klamath Falls to ride some awesome trails here at Spence Mountain. We actually came down to Ninja MTB to share a little bit about the brand. They do a lot of different stuff, from skills clinics to protection. And why we're really coming down here is because they just built us a 6-foot kicker ramp for our airbag. Ninja has made ramps of varying size for a number of years, but they never made one, I think, bigger than 4 feet. So let's go check out this 6-foot kicker and how it's made entirely here in-house in Klamath Falls, Oregon. So here we are. There is our ramp, the signature Lobo launcher at Ninja HQ. Travis, you excited to hit this thing first, or you want to go inside and talk to the guys?
I am excited, a little scared. Maybe we should go in and talk to them first.
Okay, yep. All right, we'll go inside first, then it's time to hit the airbag. Hello, everybody. So you do a lot of different stuff, right? You've got the skills clinics and camps. You obviously make ramps, which is one of the big reasons we're here. But you also do a full line of protection.
That's right.
Right? So walk us through, where did you start? What was the first thing? And how did this evolution to where you are today happen?
The whole thing, including the pads from the beginning.
Yeah.
I'll give you as much of it as you want.
Okay.
Essentially, I raced bikes for a long time and realized I wasn't going to be able to race forever, so I need something else to do. So I started coaching, so doing skills instruction for other racers and recreational riders, and then realized that might be an opportunity for a business. So I started running bigger groups, classes and clinics, mostly in Southern California. As that continued to grow and expand, I hired help. So I got other instructors to join me, and then the company grew. So today we have about just over 200 instructors around the country. We teach in 47 states. We do about 2,000 events per year.
Wow.
All skills instruction, from beginner, absolute beginner riders to intermediate and advanced riders, all kinds of different levels of instruction available. The ramp business happened because we were teaching jump classes, so how to jump your mountain bike. And after the class, all the participants would ask, where can I buy a jump ramp so they could practice on their own? So we figured it out. So we found a partner initially to manufacture ramps for us. That didn't work out for us long term. We realized to make the ramps we really wanted and to have the flexibility to improve ramps or add ramps or whatever, we needed to make them ourselves. So we set up a manufacturing facility 2 years ago. And we've been making ramps about that long on our own.
Oh, wait.
All of our ramps are engineered by us, tested by us, built, packaged, sold by us. It's all done right here.
How many guys do you have working on staff here?
Total staff, I think, is about 8 full-time people, and then we have probably 3 or 4 part-time.
That's very cool. And then the protection, I guess, obviously, it was probably the one more step of like, people are coming to classes and getting, bumps and scrapes. And
that was kind of a pet project, because when I was racing bikes, I raced enduro and among other disciplines, I always hated my pads. Every pad I tried was uncomfortable for some reason. Either it gave me blisters, or it was too hot, or it came apart, or I couldn't wash it, or too restrictive, or not enough protection, etc. So I kept a mental list for about 20 years of what I would ever do if I made my own pads, and then decided to do that, to make my own pads. So I spent almost 2 years doing research and development on pads, on certifications, material types, all the stuff you need to make pads. Went through lots of revisions, lots of prototypes, lots of testing, and finally came up with 2 sets of pads. A minimal protection pad we call the Speed King, and then a heavier protection pad called the Hooligan. And we have knee and elbow pads, and they sell like mad. People love them.
That's awesome. Well, we certainly love them. I've been riding a lot, and the crew has jumped on, and we've definitely been, it's in our regular rotation of pads. So really stoked to check out where you guys make these ramps.
Okay, let's head on over and I'll introduce you to Cade, our engineer.
All right, cool.
My name is Cade O'Neill. I am the design and manufacturing engineer for all of the ramps and all of the airbags and all the stuff that we do there that, I get to test with the bikes and that kind of stuff.
Okay, right on. And how long have you been working doing engineering stuff?
So I've been working for Ninja for about 2 years. I started when I was actually a junior in college still, basically my internship, part-time job. My bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And then about a year ago, I graduated from Oregon Tech here in Klamath Falls and became full-time, engineer for us here.
Okay, right on. And I'm guessing you were a mountain biker before? Or
All my life. I've been around all my life. My dad was raced when he was in college and that kind of stuff got me into it. And it's what I do on the weekends in my free time. So
What would you say is like the most challenging / frustrating part of knowing you got a project, right? Like, for example, we hit Richard up about wanting a 6-foot ramp. So what were some of the struggles and exciting parts of that whole process?
I would say struggles first is probably just all the little details and that kind of stuff that when you haven't built something, let's say that big or this style, to like figure out all those things. Cause like I have an image in my head that visually looks like it would be perfect.
Right.
But then you make it and little things go wrong and that kind of stuff in the process that always slows it down. But I say the exciting part is when you do finally hit it. Like Richard can confirm, like when I first hit it, I had the biggest smile on my face. Like it felt right. I've ridden a bunch of bike parks. I've ridden free ride jumps. I've ridden long jumps. I've ridden that on my dirt jumper and, my full suspension mountain bike. It feels fantastic. It feels just like I would like a regular trick jump to feel like. And I've actually progressed in my skills riding it and testing it, and which is exactly what I was hoping for when I designed it in the first place. So,
All right, killer. Yeah. What's, I guess, your process of developing and creating? Like, where do you start?
Start with literally a sketch. It starts with, and maybe before that, it starts with, hey, here's the rough idea, right? I remember he was saying, hey, you want a 6-foot tall ramp that's like kicky, steeper, like good for tricks. And I'm like, that's right up my alley. I built a 6-foot lip when I was like 15 years old, 12 years old, back in high school. And so that's the first step. And then I go to sketch. Thankfully, at that point, by the time I designed the Loam Wolf kicker, like I had already designed all this other stuff. So I could always take those engineering principles and those same kind of structures and integrate it into that ramp, just expanding it. So, and then start modeling. And I went through a bunch of iterations of different designs and that kind of stuff too. And I start modeling and kind of massaging the assemblies until I've got to me, the first functional, visual prototype. From there, I take it into a program called VCarve and I program it all for the machine out there. So now that's a big ramp, takes a lot of different sheets of material and different thicknesses and that kind of stuff. I'll take it out to the machine. I'll plug the code in, I'll push go, I'll cut out all these parts, cut them out, and then put everything together. And that was the first time ever seeing it in person.
Okay.
And if there's issues there, you got to figure out, which sometimes there are, then you take care of those until I finally have a functioning prototype I can ride. And then I literally, first time I hit it was out here. I pedaled in from the parking lot and set up the, airbag lander and the big ramp. And then from there, little break here or something, little small changes you make and you kind of massage that and recut stuff until you've got a final product. By that point, we've got a functioning product that's ready to cut out in the proper material, take photos of, all that kind of stuff, and actually put out to market.
All right, well, let's go check the machines out and see where they get made then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah! So we're back here in the factory. It looks like these are how you received, your plywood. Walk us through. Wood comes in like this and leaves in a package.
Yeah.
How does that work back
I can
here?
take you through it. Yeah, the wood comes in like this. It's just bundled. It doesn't have any color on it at all. It goes into this machine, which essentially is an automated painter.
Okay.
The wood goes in this side. Oscillating head goes back and forth, which paints the wood.
Okay.
And then it comes out this side, and then it goes on drying racks. Once the wood is dried, then it goes back through a second time where it's sealed.
Okay.
So this is what it looks like after it's painted and sealed.
Oh, killer.
So these are the wood we use for our turbos and for our skinny sets. And we sell more of these ramps than any. So this is, each one of these sheets makes 3 ramps. We've got 3 CNC machines, this thermoid, and then there's 2 more over there.
Okay.
The machine cuts out all the parts. Once the parts are done cutting, then they go to an outfeed table. The parts are removed, and then they go from here over to finish work, and I can show you where that is. All the parts come over here in stacks where they're cleaned up. So the guys remove any tabs that are left on them from the cutting. They sand everything by hand to make sure they're perfect. They clean everything, and then the ramps are assembled here. After they're assembled, then they go in the boxes. Like these are ramps ready to go out here. And then they go, if the customer ordered them, they go right out to the customer. Usually the day they order them or the next day, depending on when they order them.
Okay.
And then extra inventory goes on the shelves over there. But that's kind of it.
You have some waste wood, obviously, right?
Yep.
You just get sent out for recycling, or what happens with them?
It kind of depends. The wood material gets sent to be processed for energy. So they shred this and it goes to some place in somewhere near Medford or Grants Pass where it's used as biofuel to make energy.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not entirely sure how it gets there, how much of it's used, but we drop it off and it goes from there.
Okay, interesting. Funny story, we've been driving through Klamath Falls, I don't know, dozens of times and never stopped. But we've always thought it's a really cool looking spot. And we finally came down, had the opportunity, and we were getting some pizza at Rodeo's Pizza. And he was like, hey, you're the Loam Wolf guys, aren't you? And he's like, my company's right down the road. You want to come check it out? And so we finished our pizza and came down here. And sure enough, the conversation began of like, hey, we've got this airbag and we need a 6-foot jump for it. And now we're here picking it up. So, and then speaking of Klamath Falls, it's, I guess, not a very big town and not one that's on a lot of people's radar. Why did you choose this to be home?
Yeah, it was kind of an accident, like a lot of things in my life. But I was driving from somewhere in California to an event in Washington, and I had some Ninja jerseys that I needed to mail out to some customers. And at the time, I was living on the road. I was racing and teaching full time, so I needed a post office. So I checked Google Maps, and it said there was a post office in Klamath Falls. It was on the way, so I rolled in. I parked my truck and my trailer out front, walked in the post office, and I'm like, dang, this is a cool building. So it got me curious. So I went and walked downtown, and I'm like, dang, there's shops here. This is cool. It's quite vibrant. It looks like a place that I might like. And at the time, I'd been living on the road for years. Was kind of looking for a home base for Ninja and myself. So I grabbed a newspaper, and the newspaper I grabbed, front page said Klamath Falls receives like some unbelievable amount of money for mountain bike and hiking trails in the area. And I'm like, that's weird. So then I bring up my trail app and I'm like, okay, are there trails here? And sure enough, there's trails and they look good on the app. But I've been duped before. I've ridden all over the country. So I went and drove over to the trails. I didn't even take my bike out because I didn't believe they'd be good. And I started hiking the trails. And I started hiking, I'm like, these are real mountain bike trails. So I went back to my car, got my bike, and I went and rode pretty much everything.
At Moore Mountain?
At
or?
Moore.
Okay.
At Spence and Moore.
Okay.
Just checking things out.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, this is legit. So then I realized this might be a good place for a home base. So I grabbed a real estate magazine and I'm like, okay, can I afford to live here? And sure enough, real estate was inexpensive. It was affordable and there was a lot available. And I had this vision to buy a piece of land and mill trees and build a house and all that. And so I found a piece of land. So I found a big piece of land on a river in Chiloquin, 45 miles north, and bought a sawmill and I built a house and a barn. And that was my home base.
It's a super cool success story, and it's rad to see that you started a business from being like an aspiring racer and like, I'm gonna just try to coach to supplement my racing dream, and now you're here running a company with a lot of people. That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, thanks.
I imagine that's been a stressful and challenging journey, but probably a rewarding one too.
I don't think it's as hard as racing, but yeah, it's been challenging.
Right on. Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate the time, and of course this awesome ramp, and we'll be back down to go ride more trails and have some fun, so thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rick.
Well, the trip to Klamath Falls was great. The trails here are awesome. Thanks for not making me go off that.
Not yet. We're gonna be taking this thing home and having a lot of fun. Head to ridelikeaninja.com, get yourself a ramp, either the 6-foot or one of the smaller ones. Thanks. We hope you guys had a fun time touring Ninja. We'll see you on the trails.